Good evening, Chancellor ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So, good evening to all esteemed members of Team Research Foundation of India, distinguished schedule expert Dr. Chancellor Jain ma'am, and participants. A warm welcome to all of you. I'm Dr. Neha Jain, honored to be the program coordinator for the 10 days training program and faculty development program on advanced tools and techniques for research methodology. Today marks the fourth day of our journey focusing on the theme of hypothesis testing and development, organized by the esteemed Research Foundation of India, RFI-CARE, and BPIT. This program is generously sponsored by well-known organizations including JHERF, Academic Research Guide Association, and Edu Academic Inc. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed expert for today, Dr. Chanchla Ma'am, an assistant professor at Prestige Institute of Management and Research, Indore. She is an author, research expert, and academician with over 11 years of experience in management and commerce. She is a co-founder of Urja Counseling and Training Indore and also serves as the co-coordinator of IQAC at PIMR. As a research expert and trainer, she has conducted numerous workshops and FDPs on SPSS module, research paper writing, and analysis through our programming. She has completed a research project in the medical field, presented before the Central Ministry, and has chaired and co-chaired various conferences. With over 10 years of rich research experience, she has an impressive portfolio of more than 42 research papers published in various Scopus indexed national and international journals. She has presented research papers in more than 20 conferences and received 5 Best Paper Awards at JIMS Delhi, Pacific University Udaipur, and 3 at Prestige Indore. Under her guidance, 4 research scholars are pursuing their PhD degrees, and she has supervised over 500 students in their major and minor research projects. So that's all about Madam's expertise. Now, without further delay, I would like to request Dr. Chanchala ma'am to please start. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, first of all, Neha, ma'am. I hope I'm audible clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you. First of all, like once again, I want to extend my gratitude towards the RFI team for giving me one more chance to interact with the participants. And I think this is the second or third time I'm talking about the hypothesis development in the research paper writing workshop. So it will be again a pleasure for me to share my knowledge about the hypothesis development with the participants present over here. So a very good afternoon, one and all present over here on this platform. I think without delaying, I'm just sharing my screen and then I'll talk about the hypothesis development, right? So the first session will be interactive session, I must say, and I will start the session. And meanwhile, if you are having any queries, people can interact with me. And Neha ma'am, is it fine, or we can take the questions at the end?
Ma'am, it's fine.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So give me a second. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. So I think I shared my screen. I want a confirmation from the participant side whether it is visible clearly or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you
Cleared,
so much.
ma'am.
Thanks so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So friends, I think this is the day fourth, I guess, right? So since last 3 days, you people are understanding how to write a research paper and what are the various advanced tools and techniques which we are using in the research methodology. So I think in the initial days, you have heard about that how to identify a problem, how to do a literature review, something like these things already discussed by the eminent speakers of this workshop, right? Of this FDP, I must say. So today, in the same series, I'm talking about further step of the research, that is the hypothesis development and testing. So before talking about the development process of the hypothesis, I want to know from the participant side whether you people are having any idea about hypothesis, or what do you understand by the term hypothesis. If any one of you can tell me, it would be a great thing. Yes.
Ma'am, it is a claim that is to be tested, and a statement that a researcher wants to test use sample of his own.
Yes, very correct. May I know the name, ma'am?
Ma'am, Ritika.
Ritika
Ritika Chan.
ma'am. Very correct. Ritika ma'am has said very correctly. Hypothesis is generally a tentative conclusion. It's a tentative statement which we are making, and we are trying to prove it or disprove it using our own data, right? So that way it's known as the hypothesis. Now further moving towards to the process of the hypothesis development, I am coming to the slide number 1. So friends, if I talk about how to develop a hypothesis, generally hypothesis development starts with an idea. I think in the initial days you have heard about the problem identification. Maybe you have studied, or the speakers had talked to you on this particular theme, that how or what is the problem identification, or how you can do the problem identification. So there also you need to do, or there also need to have certain idea about the environment, and using that thing you can generate your research topic. Similarly, when we are talking about the hypothesis, so hypothesis is linked with the previous thing, that is the research questions and the objectives of your study. So might be possible you people have already seen means the previous experts have talked about these things. So generally, the process of the research is research paper writing is that we have to generally find a tentative topic. Initially, we need to have a working topic with us. On that working topic, what we do, we are doing the literature review. Using that literature review, we will proceed further. We will try to identify the gap. We will try to formulate the research questions, and those research questions will help you out to formulate your objectives. And using your objectives, we are reaching to the hypothesis. So sometimes it happens whenever we are, means being a human, we all know that we are observant. We are generally scanning our environment. So maybe we are walking somewhere, we are talking to someone, we are sitting somewhere, and that way we can maybe observe something, and that thing can give an idea for our research topic. Or might be possible, suppose a question coming or maybe striking in my mind, whether the burnout in the organization leading to the low productivity. So that way, this can help you to formulate your research title. That research title can also be useful to formulate your hypothesis, because always will be a link. Your hypothesis will be talking or maybe matching with your research title or research topic. So it all starts with an idea. So you need to have an idea. That idea can come from the observation, or that idea can come from the literature search, that is the literature review. Many times it happens we want to write a research paper, we want to do certain research study, but we are generally blank. We are not having any ideas in our mind. So that way, what we do, we are going in the literature review. We need to specify our domain. Say, for example, I want to study or I want to write a research paper in the marketing field. So that way, certain research titles, research papers we can download, we can study them, and that way links can be created, and we can maybe find our comfortable zone that here we can conduct our study. So that way, idea can come from the observation or can come from the literature search. Using these two things, we can reach to the statement of the problem. We need to have some problem statement after doing the literature review or after scanning the environment or surroundings. Then these problems, whatever say problem we have made, this problem will give you or will help you out to formulate your research questions. These research questions can lead to the development of the hypothesis. So this is the broad process of development of the hypothesis. Further, as I said, we are having the research questions that can come from the environment, that can come from the literature, right? And that way we can translate those questions into the hypothesis. Say, for example, I think 10 minutes before I tried to jot down certain research questions. So, for example, the first question says, does burnout lead to low productivity? Suppose I am working in any organization and I'm feeling that there is a burnout situation in the organization. So suddenly it strikes in my mind that burnout leads to the low productivity. So for that, I can conduct a study. Similarly, next question can be whether sales is affected by or whether sales is affected by the customer satisfaction. So that means whether there is any role of satisfaction of the customers in the increment of the sales of the company or decrement of the sales of the company. Next can be what parameters should be taken care while investing in the stock market. Then, does GDP impact growth of a country? Further, are loyalty and satisfaction have any relationship? Whether brand recognition impacts the sales of the brand? Does weather impact stock market? So these can be certain observations. Maybe we are observing the our environment or our surroundings, and suddenly these questions can come in our mind. And that way, the research can start from this particular point. And these research questions can be addressed using the literature review. If we are finding some backing in the literature review for these questions, this will help us to operationalize our variables. Say, for example, if I talk about the first research question, which is, does burnout lead to the low productivity? So, friends, here I want to ask you, if this is the first research question which I have made written here, can any one of you tell me which are the variables available in this particular research question? I hope I'm audible and you people are listening to me. Any confirmation?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can I come?
Am I audible, Neha ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. You are completely audible.
Yeah. So, friends, can any one of you tell me if I talk about the first research question, which variables are mentioned in this particular research question?
Ma'am, can I tell?
Yes,
Ma'am, I suppose it is burnout and productivity.
very correct. It's Neha ma'am. May I know the name?
I am Dr. Garima.
Garima ma'am. Garima ma'am, very correct. Garima ma'am has correctly identified that in the first research question, there are two variables available, burnout and the productivity. So further, I can operationalize these two words. Operationalize meaning is that you need to define that how you are going to measure these two variables. As you can see, both the variables which are mentioned here, that is the burnout and productivity, these two variables, you can say these are the latent variable or these are the variables which you cannot directly measure. There is no scale available. Scale means any apparatus or measurement scale. If I talk measurement scale means the physical scale or something that I'm talking about. That thing, that apparatus is not available to measure the burnout. Similarly, for measuring the productivity, also this kind of apparatus is not available, right? So in that case, we need to take the help of the literature where we can identify the things that how I can measure the burnout. What things can be I consider while asking certain questions which can lead for the measurement of the burnout and similarly for the productivity. So that way you can identify your variables, you can operationalize them properly, you can make your questionnaire, and then you can collect the data. Using this particular research question, we can go and formulate our hypothesis also. So if question is, does burnout lead to the low productivity? Can anyone tell me what type of hypothesis I can create using this particular question?
Ma'am, can I tell?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, I suppose it can be first one, it leads to productivity, and the other one can be it does not lead to productivity.
Yes, that can be the one thing. Very correct. Anyone else? I hope people are listening to me. Anyone will try? Actually, friends, I think this session is through the Google Meet, right? So in that case, if you people are writing something in chat box, or maybe if you are giving any impression through the emojis or something, I cannot see that because I have shared my screen. I can only see my slides. So it's better you can interact with me. Okay, maybe people are not getting me. No problem. So, friends, here I can say, ma'am, may I know the name who said the hypothesis to me?
Garima.
Garima ma'am. Garima ma'am has said correctly, but I will make it little technical, right? So I can say there is no relationship between burnout and productivity. That can be the one way of writing my hypothesis. Second way can be there is no significant impact of burnout on the productivity. Is it okay? Clear to everyone?
It's
I
okay,
hope
madam.
clear. Yeah, fine. Further, similarly, you can see certain other questions which I have mentioned on the slide. You can understand these questions, and that way we can operationalize the variables available in the question, and we can formulate the hypothesis. Further, talking about there are certain approaches. Using those approach, we can make the hypothesis or we can develop the hypothesis. The one approach which you can see here, this approach is what? This approach is the inductive approach. Inductive approach meaning is that you can see this approach will start from the confirmation. Then it will go to the observation, it will go to the hypothesis, it will go to the theory. That means this particular inductive approach is what? This approach will try to formulate the theory for us. This particular approach will try to formulate the model for us, right? So that way, what you need to do, you need to confirm firstly what type of things you are observing in your environment. Then after that, you will go to the observation. Through that, you can create or you can develop your hypothesis. Then you can test your hypothesis, and after testing your hypothesis, that will become the theory, right? So maybe you can see, I think we all know there is a very simple example in the science, which is the Newton has observed in the environment that apple is falling from the tree, right? So that way he propounded a particular theory, that is a gravitational theory, right? So that way this particular thing is known as the product inductive approach in the hypothesis development process, where you are scanning your environment, your surroundings, and then you are formulating your hypothesis, you are testing your hypothesis, and then you are propounding a particular theory. Is it clear? I
Okay,
hope
ma'am.
clear. Yeah. Further, I think just a minute. I need. Yeah. So this was the first approach which I had talked about. That is the inductive approach. Talking about the next approach, which is the deductive approach. Deductive approach says what we do, we are taking any theory, right? So maybe first you need to decide upon your domain. Suppose I want, as I am from the social science background, so suppose I decided I want to conduct my study in the marketing, right? So I need to check what type of theories available in the marketing, and according to whatever idea came in my mind, can I relate that idea with a particular theory? So that way, firstly, I will have my own idea. I will try to relate my idea with a particular theory, and then I propound a hypothesis, or that way I will develop a hypothesis. Then I will observe the environment, and then I will confirm it, right? So this is known as the deductive approach of the hypothesis development. Here I have taken certain theories which is available in the marketing field, which is available in the IT field. So here you can see this particular theory is the technology acceptance model theory. Here you can see there are four variables available. Firstly, the perceived usefulness. Second is the perceived ease of use. Next is the intention of use, and next is the actual use. So that way you can see here the perceived use of use is leading to the perceived usefulness. Similarly, perceived ease of use is leading to the intention to use. Then you can see perceived usefulness is leading to the intention to use, and then intention to use is leading to the actual use, right? So that way you can see one hypothesis you can make in between these two variables. I think you can see my mouse rotating here. So one hypothesis we can make here. Second hypothesis can be created in the perceived usefulness and the intention to use. Next, we can create between the perceived ease of use and the intention to use. And last, we can create between intention to use and the actual use, right? So this is the first attempt theory. This is theory. This was the very first theory in this particular field. After that, after certain researches, after certain observations, this model, this theory was extended. And then you can see this particular model or this particular theory was the reported. So here you can see there are so many variables now available, right? And using those variables, now we are reaching towards to the usage behavior of the customers, right? So that way you can find in the literature reviews. In literature reviews, we can find so many different theories were used by the researchers, and using that, they are creating a model, and that model will help you to formulate your hypothesis. So this way, this is the deductive approach. Now, moving towards to the next slide, talking about one more model available in the field of marketing. This is a particular image which I have taken from the internet. In this, you can see this is a SARU-12 model. I think many of you have already heard this model. So this is the service quality model. So if I want to assess the quality of the services, suppose if I'm running an organization which is providing services, right, and I want to assess that how I can assess the quality of my services. So there is a expert named as Parshuraman. Parshuraman and his colleagues has developed this particular model initially, and in that they have propounded, they have suggested that there are 5 dimensions of the quality, service quality, that is tangible, empathy, assurance, availability, and reliability. As we know, services we cannot touch, which we cannot see, which we can only feel, which we can only use, right? So that way, to measure the quality of these services, you can use these 5 dimensions, and that way you can measure the service quality. In each dimension, in each factor, there will be certain number of questions, right? So that way, these particular dimensions can help you to measure the service quality, and that way you can make your hypothesis. Further, if I talk about the process of hypothesis development, here you can see I have taken certain stages. It starts from the left hand side, where first step or stage says ask a question. Suppose question is, do students who attend more lectures get better exam results? Suppose as I am from the academic side, suppose this question I have made, the students who are attending many classes or so many classes in comparison to the student who is not attending much classes, whether he is scoring better than that student or not. This is the question came in our mind, suppose, right? Further, for this particular question, whatever question is striking your mind, for for that you need to do the some preliminary research. And how you can do that preliminary research? For that, you need to see theories available, whether any theory available to whatever question you are raising. If it is available, you need to study that theory, right? So you need to see the theory, or you need to see whether this type of questions are or this type of question is addressed by any previous research. So that way you need to see some support for your question from the previous studies or from the theories. Further, you need to see or you need to formulate the conceptual framework using those theories or the previous studies. And that way you will operationalize each and every variable of your framework. Then further, you will go for the formulation of the hypothesis. Usually, generally, once we are creating or making the hypothesis, that will be your first draft, right? Because suppose something came in our mind, we have formulated that. But whether the similar thing is available in the literature or not, or maybe same type of variables were used by the previous researchers or not, so you need to do the second step to refine your hypothesis. So for refining of your hypothesis, firstly you will identify what are the variables available in your hypothesis, right? You will see the specific group which were already being studied by the previous researchers. Then you will see that what outcome is coming from whatever experiment were carried on by the previous researchers. So that way you can refine your hypothesis. Further, you will rephrase your hypothesis. That means, generally, there are three types of hypothesis: hypothesis in the form of difference, hypothesis in the form of relationship, hypothesis in the form of impact. Generally, we are writing there is no significant difference, or we are writing there is no significant relationship, or we are writing there is no significant impact. So, generally, these are the three main ways of writing the hypothesis. So, that way, we will write our final hypothesis. So this is the very basic process which you need to go through to finalize your hypothesis, which starts from the asking of a question. Further, there are certain characteristics of a good hypothesis. First thing says, is the language clear and focused? So whatever hypothesis you are making for testing, that should be very simple. That should be very simple worded. Means there should be no complexity in the hypothesis. It should be clearly written. It should be clearly focused on the variables and with what is your purpose, whether you want to see the difference, whether you want to find the relationship, whether you want to see the impact of one variable on other. So that way your hypothesis language should be very clear and focused. Then what is the relationship between your hypothesis and your research topic? So as friends, you can see I started a discussion from the research topic. So your research topic will always be linked with your hypothesis. Means suppose I have written my research topic, customer satisfaction. Suppose I am writing, sorry, again I am saying, suppose my topic is I study on customer satisfaction towards, suppose, e-watches or digital watches. Suppose this is my research topic, right? Now, in the hypothesis, suppose I am writing there is no significant difference in the satisfaction of the customers towards the use of the watches, or towards the use of the digital watches. So that way you need to see your topic is what, or what hypothesis you are writing. So there should always be a link. So your topic says there should be satisfaction and the use of e-watches or digital watches. So your hypothesis should also address the similar type of thing. So that way you can see the significant difference, you can see the relationship, or you can find the impact of one thing on other. So that way, second thing you need to be checked while making your hypothesis. Third says, is your hypothesis testable? If yes, then how? Means whatever hypothesis you are making, for testing that whether any statistical test is available in statistics or not. If it is available, so which test you are using, how you are measuring that hypothesis. So you need to check the viability of your hypothesis, whether your hypothesis is testable or not. Then what are the possible explanations that you might want to explore? Means again it is linked with your title. Whatever title you are making for your research study, whatever research questions you are making for your research study, whether all the explanations you are getting using your hypothesis or not, that you need to check. Then, does your hypothesis include both an independent and dependent variable? So friends, whenever we are formulating any hypothesis, generally we need to have two variables. So you need to always check whether you are having those two variables available in your hypothesis or not. Further, can you manipulate your variables without hampering the ethical standards? Means any manipulation you can make in your variables or not, but while keeping the ethical standards in your mind, because research is very sensitive area where if you are making any changes in the variables, it can impact your result. It can maybe lead to certain things because the stakeholders means which are linked with your research study. Maybe suppose as I said, customer satisfaction towards the digital watches. So the users of digital watches can be the stakeholder. Satisfaction again I'm talking about, and apart from that, the manufacturers and the persons who are selling those digital watches can be the stakeholders of your study. So you need to see this thing if you are manipulating your variable, whether ethical issues are not being touched by your manipulation. That thing you need to keep in your mind. Further, does your research predict the relationship and outcome? So you need to see whatever type of hypothesis you are formulating, it is predicting something, some relationship or not, some outcome is coming that outcome is fruitful or not. Is your research simple and concise? Is your hypothesis simple and concise? So you need to see whatever type of wordiness you are making your hypothesis, that would be very simple and clear for the audience or for the readers of your research. Then is it clear with no ambiguity or assumptions about the reader's knowledge? So your hypothesis should be very clearly stated. There should be no ambiguity, means there should be no double meaning of your hypothesis and assumptions about the reader's knowledge. So that means you need to see who will be the readers of my study. So it is quite obvious the people who are linked with my research title, they can be the stakeholders or they can be the readers of my research. Apart from that, the future researchers who can maybe using my study as a literature review can read my study. So you need to see these things, and that way you need to frame your hypothesis. That is your research observable and testable results. So you need to see whatever research you are carrying to complete your research study, that is observable, and whatever thing you are carrying in that particular research, that is testable or not. Then is it relevant and specific to the research questions or problems? So means always your hypothesis should address your research questions of the studies or the research problem of your study. So these are the certain characteristics generally which you need to test or check while formulating or developing any hypothesis. Now in this slide, I try to take certain research questions so that we have formulated hypothesis, and that way finally we have made the null hypothesis. So the first research question says, what are the health benefits of eating an apple a day? Right? Suppose this is a research question. So hypothesis can be increasing apple consumption in over 60s will result in decreasing frequency of the doctor's visit. Right? So we have made this tentative hypothesis here. So then final null hypothesis will be increasing apple consumption over 60s will have no effect on frequency of doctor's visit. Second question says, which airlines have the most delays? So hypothesis can be low cost airlines are more likely to have delays than premium airlines. Null hypothesis can be there is no significant difference in the mean delay time between low cost and the premium cost or the premium airlines. Next question says, can flexible work arrangements improve job satisfaction? Hypothesis can be employees who have flexible working hours will report greater job satisfaction than employees who work for the fixed hours. The null hypothesis can be there is no relationship between the working hour flexibility and the job satisfaction. Next question says, how effective is high school sex education at reducing teen pregnancy? So, hypothesis can be teenagers who receive sex education lessons throughout the high school will have lower rates of unplanned pregnancy than teenagers who did not receive any sex education. So, the simple null hypothesis can be high school sex education has no effect on teen pregnancy rates. The last question of the slide says, what effect does daily use of social media have on the attention span of the under 16s? So the tentative hypothesis says there is a negative relationship between the time spent on the social media and attention span in the under 16s. So null hypothesis can be there is no relationship between the social media use and the attention span in the under 16s. So that way, friends, I hope this can give you certain clarity that how the research questions can be come or can be formulated, then how you can formulate the tentative hypothesis. Then using the literature review, you can finalize your null hypothesis. So here I have taken a specific research problem. This problem says the association of the intake of fish oils has been studied in relation with the heart. and brain in the adult. Further, fish oil has been found to strengthen immune responses. However, its effect on immunity in children remains unknown. So, friends, here I have taken a small problem for you. I want you to please talk to me, please discuss to me that using this particular hypothesis, can we formulate, using this particular problem, can we formulate our hypothesis? I think I am expecting a conversation now.
Ma'am, can we form multiple hypotheses out of
I
this?
hope I'm audible clearly.
Ma'am, can multiple hypotheses be formed out of one research problem, or does this has to
Uh,
be summarized into one particular
may I know
hypothesis?
why people are not interacting? Is it some problem or something? Yes. I have copied and pasted the problem in the chat box. If you cannot read there, you can see here. I hope you are interacting with me, right? Yes. Anyone? Yes. Why people are not interacting? I hope Neha ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Can I repeat my
Hello.
question? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Ritika, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, can I ask my question again? I think I'm not audible to ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, can you repeat my question towards her? Forward my question towards her in
Ma'am,
case.
please put your question in chat box.
Okay, thank
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, Sajla, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, ma'am. Whatever I said, it was clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So, friends, I think I copied down the problem there in the chat box. I'm expecting you people to please unmute yourself and discuss with me whether the firstly problem is clear to you people or not.
Ma'am, Ritika, ma'am has put her question in the chat box.
There are multiple hypotheses from this one problem. Yes, yes, quite possible, Ritika ma'am, no problem. Yes, Ritika ma'am, will you please unmute yourself and discuss with me? Firstly, what are you understanding?
I am understanding that is there's the relationship between immune. One second, let me confirm the messages. Uh, the relationship between intake of fish oil and individual health has to be tested because the exact group has not been said because adults have been included, children have been included, and an immune system has also been included. So basically, they want to test the relationship between intake of fish oil and the health of individuals. This is what I'm getting from this particular research problem.
Yeah, very correct. Ritika ma'am correctly said, I think according to me, it's the same thing I can say. From the problem, firstly, it is quite clear that there are certain studies conducted which are trying to identify the relationship or association between the fish oil and the heart and brain health. But this type of things were carried on by for the adults only, right? So that means now there is area available where we can include the children. Means we can here you can see this can be the research gap, right, for us. So maybe we can found there are so many research papers available which are talking that there is some association between the use of the fish oil or the intake of the fish oil and the heart and the brain health of the adults, right? But might be possible I haven't found a single paper which is talking about but whether there is any relationship between the intake of the fish oil and the heart and brain health of the children. So that way, firstly, this can become the research gap, and that way I can conduct a research study on that, right? Now, if this is the thing, this is the research problem I have identified. So now, how we can formulate the hypothesis? Now anyone can tell me on that? Yes.
Ma'am, that the null hypothesis can be that there is no significant relationship between intake of fish oil and brain and heart health of children.
Very correct. Very correct. Means we can formulate the hypothesis. There is no significant relationship between the intake of fish oil and the heart health. Second, we can make there is no significant relationship between the intake of fish oil and the brain health. This can be the one thing. We can make further next hypothesis. There is no significant impact of the intake of fish oil on the health, on the heart and brain health of the adults. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I think this is I tried to explain you through my own experiences. Now I'll show you certain research papers. So let me share my screen first. I'll show you certain research papers. There we'll see how the hypothesis development take place in the researches. Okay. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Yeah. So friends, here you can see I have taken a research paper which is published in the year 2023 in the Journal of Digital Economics and Business Minister, right? Now you can see the title of the study is talking about the effect of marketing mix on customer satisfaction in a particular store of a particular city, right? So here the main thing is you need to see the effect of marketing mix on customer satisfaction. May I expect anyone who is from the marketing field here? Anyone who is from marketing field in the meeting? Anyone? No one is from marketing field. I hope I'm audible, friends, right?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So may I
Yes,
know?
ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah. So may I know anyone is from the marketing side? Okay, fine. Maybe you people are not belonging to the management side or something. So here in the management, we are having certain marketing mix, which can, so the study says the effect of marketing mix on customer satisfaction. So friends, any one of you can tell me here which are the variables mentioned on the selected word, whatever words are selected here in the title. In this particular selection, what are the variables available?
Marketing mix is the independent variable and customer
Customer
satisfaction is
satisfaction.
dependent variable.
Very correct. Very correct. Ma'am said very correctly. Marketing mix is the independent variable and the customer satisfaction is the dependent variable. So its study is very simple. It says whether there is a significant impact of marketing mix on the customer satisfaction for a particular store of a particular city, right? So you see, I'm moving ahead. I'm talking about further. Coming to the literature review first. So literature review, you can see whatever are the keyword, whatever are the variables I have identified in this research paper. You can see this literature in this research paper. Literature review is talking about those variables, right? So firstly, it is talking about the customer satisfaction, right? So he has jotted down so few studies which were talking about the customer satisfaction, right? So that way, this is the first section. Further, talking about the marketing mix. So there are 4 marketing mix. If I say product, price, promotion, and the place. Place means location. So further, you can see in the marketing mix for all the mentioned mix, you can find the literature review was carried on by the researcher. Further, using these literature reviews, he have formulated a research framework. So you can see now product, price, promotion, and location. These are contributing to the satisfaction of the customer. So this is the research framework of the study. And using that, you can see the hypothesis. Products have a positive and significant effect on customer satisfaction at the Sinar Terang electric store, right? Then second hypothesis says price has a positive and significant effect on customer satisfaction at so and so store. Similarly, third and fourth. First is product, second is price, third is promotion, fourth is location. And lastly, you can see product, price, promotion, and location simultaneously affect the customer satisfaction. So that way, using your research framework, using your conceptual framework, you can formulate your hypothesis. This is the first research paper I have talked to you. I think it is clear to understand, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Further, I'm moving to the next research paper. Here you can see firstly the title of the research paper says literature review, customer satisfaction, determination and level of complaint, product quality and the service quality. So this is the title. Title is saying that this is the literature review type of research paper. Means in this paper you will only find the literature review and nothing else. Further, no quantitative analysis or qualitative analysis was carried on by the researcher, right? So now I'm moving down. Here you can see the purpose of taking this particular research paper for you is that I have written here certain problem areas, right? You can see, suppose the problem area first says, does product quality affect customer satisfaction? This is the first research question you have formulated, suppose. Second says, does quality of service affect customer satisfaction? Then, does product quality affect complaint level? Does quality of service affect the level of complaints? And last, does customer satisfaction affect complaint levels? Right? So this is the problem area the particular researcher has found. And using that, he has carried on the literature review on the all the mentioned variables: product quality, customer satisfaction, service quality, then complaint level. I think these are the four major variables we can find here. So on further, you can see researcher has carried on the literature review on that. And then using these literature review, using these findings of the previous researchers, you can see he has comprises all the findings in a table. And using that, you can see the further processes carried on and the conceptual framework or the research framework was made by the researcher. Here you can see four variables are mentioned: product quality, service quality or quality of service, customer satisfaction, and complaint level. Now you can see the arrows. Product quality tending towards to the customer satisfaction. That means we are making the first hypothesis here, right? Second is from product quality, complaint level. Then quality of service towards satisfaction, quality of service towards the complaint level, and lastly the customer satisfaction towards to the complaint level. So that way we can formulate our hypothesis. As you can see, the question says, the first question says, does product quality affect customer satisfaction? So we can make a hypothesis there is no significant impact or there is no significant impact of product quality on the customer satisfaction. Then there is no significant impact of the quality of service on the customer satisfaction. There is no significant impact of the product quality on the complaint level. There is no significant impact of the quality of services on the level of complaints. There is no significant impact of the customer satisfaction on the complaint level.
Excuse me, ma'am, can I ask one question? Ma'am, won't that be the null hypothesis or would that be the hypothesis, the ones you are saying? There is no product quality.
Usually, no form is for the null hypothesis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no form is only no means null means nothing, void.
Exactly. So, ma'am, when you were saying hypothesis, I got a bit confused because you were saying there is no relation between product quality and customer satisfaction. So I thought that is null hypothesis. That won't be
This
the
is
hypothesis.
null hypothesis, I said.
This is null hypothesis. Okay.
This is
okay.
whenever means as I am studying statistics nowadays, so you can find this thing in statistics generally. If we are saying null means void, nothing like something is existing, right? Generally, null means no. So mostly we are formulating the hypothesis in the no form, and it is addressed as the null hypothesis. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this is the second paper I have shown to make you little clear about the hypothesis development process. Now I'm moving to the third paper. Third paper says, so you can see the third paper says, factors affecting customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. The case of Bing Dong ceramic product, right? So here you can see study is talking about customer satisfaction factors. Means what are the factors which are making or which are leading to the customer satisfaction and the customer loyalty. And it is for the ceramic products, right? Further, I'm moving down. Yeah. Now you can see firstly, there are certain objectives written. So the first objective says to state out the relationship among customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, product quality, service quality, brand awareness, and prices in the ceramic product extent. Second says to measure the relationship between the customer satisfaction and customer loyalty, right? Further, I think I am not reading. This is the qualitative type of objective. Further, next says what are the factors that influence the customer satisfaction and customer loyalty in the ceramic product extent. And then the next one is also the qualitative type of objectives. So three objectives which we can quantify, which we can measure using the data, using the questionnaire. So that I read for you. You need to pay attention on these objectives. All the objectives are linked with the title of the study, right? So you need to be very careful in this thing. Always objective will be linked with your title. So this is the one thing I want to show you. Further, according to whatever the keywords or whatever the variables are coined in the objectives, you can find literature review will roam around those particular terms only, right? So that way, these are the things. I think I have made this particular section highlighted for you. I want you people to read this. Will you read? It is visible clearly, or I need to read this for you? Is it visible to everyone? The highlighted area?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm expecting you to read this particular highlighted section. Read, then we'll discuss.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
I hope reading done.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. If reading done, you can see this is nothing but this is giving the scope for our study. That why this study is being carried on by the researchers. So you can read this clearly. It is written here that when we talk about the ceramic products, right? So in ceramic products, what are the things which are necessary for the manufacturer to keep in their mind? So this study says the manufacturer in Vietnam are producing ceramics as what they think the market need. It is not what customer want, right? So that means the Vietnam manufacturer, what they are producing ceramic, and they are producing ceramic according to the market need. They are not producing the ceramic according to the customer wants, right? So as a result, it is very important to understand that Vietnam manufacturer to study more about customer satisfaction as well as loyalty. So if you can recall, I said to you, we need to keep this thing in our mind that who will be the stakeholder for our study. So in this study, the first one stakeholder is the manufacturer of the ceramic in the Vietnam, right? So that way, this person wants that the manufacturer of Vietnam needs to understand satisfaction, customer satisfaction and loyalty, and whether there is any relationship or not. So that way, maybe the Vietnam manufacturer can understand this thing, and that way they maybe make some changes in their ceramic production, and they may be refer or they may be now keep the customer's thing in their mind, and accordingly they will produce the ceramic, right? So this is the thing, important thing you need to study here. This way you can what I can justify your research. Further, according to whatever objectives I have shown you, whatever literature will be carried on by the researchers, you can see a model. I think I'm just making it out so that you can see in one frame. Yeah. Now you can see this is the model which was made to measure the customer satisfaction. Here you can see the main thing is, the main construct is the customer satisfaction, and that you can study using this product quality, service quality, and price. And that way you can see all three, you can see they are leading to the customer satisfaction. Apart from that, you can see after reading that para, there are certain situational factors also available, and there are certain personal factors also available which can impact the customer satisfaction. So this is what the researcher wants to read or study. So might be possible there are various frameworks available in the researches, but according to our own observation, what we are thinking that we need to include to make our own model, and that way you can develop your hypothesis. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Further, you can see using the whatever framework the researcher has created. Now you can see, as I have already shown you one model which is of the circle model. I think again I'm showing you in the slides, right? I think I had talked to you on this. This is tangibility or the tangibles, empathy, reliability, availability, and the assurance, right? Now I'm coming on the, I think we were on the third, right? You can see service quality we are talking about, and these are the dimensions taken by the researcher to measure the service quality, right? Similarly, whatever are the, here this model is saying you need to see the situational factors. So situational factors are taken as the brand awareness, and how you can measure the brand awareness using the brand recognition and using the brand recall. You can measure the awareness that can lead to the customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction can lead to the customer loyalty. I think it is very, very clear to everyone. If you will be satisfied with something, you will again go and buy that thing. You will talk about that thing. You will recommend that thing to the other persons, right? That way you become the customer, or you become the loyal for that particular product. So customer satisfaction can lead to the customer loyalty. Further, you can see if person is loyal for your product, you can see its repurchase intention. You can see the word of mouth. As I said, if I will be loyal for a product, I will go again to buy the same product. And second thing, I will say the positive word to the people around me about the same product or services, right? So friend, you can see from the conceptual framework, the person or the researcher has elaborated that how those constructs which are available in the particular framework can be measured. So using various scales, maybe which scales are available in the literature, means which are available in or developed by the previous researchers, that you can use, or you can create your own scales for measuring those constructs. But I think that is not my part. I'm not talking on that. So further, you need to see this thing if you are developing your own scales. So how you need to check the reliability and validity, and that way you can go ahead for the data collection. I think this is the third paper I discussed. I'm moving for the next paper now.
Ma'am, may I ask you a question regarding this paper?
Yes.
So the independent variable becomes the factors, whatever factors they have taken.
Yes.
And the dependent variable is customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
The customer loyalty, retaining the customer, that becomes the outcome variable.
Ma'am, just a minute. May I? I think your question is done.
I'm sorry?
Your question is done. May I start speaking now?
Yeah.
So ma'am, here you need to see, I can say service quality can be measured using these 5-6 dimensions which are mentioned here. This is the one thing. Then quality will lead to the satisfaction. So here you can see here customer satisfaction is dependent on the quality. This is the one thing. Further, if I want to find a relationship between these two, so here in that case, your loyalty will become depending on your satisfaction.
Yeah, customer
Right.
satisfaction becomes independent.
Independent here. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Now moving towards the next paper, which is I'm reading the title for you. The title says the influence of service quality on customer satisfaction and customer behavioral intentions by moderating role of switching barriers in the satellite pay TV market. Title is very big. You need to see there are certain variables available: service quality, customer satisfaction, customer behavioral intentions, and there is moderating variable, switching cost variables, right? So now I'm moving ahead. So coming directly on the theoretical framework of the hypothesis you can find here, which is very simple model created by the person. You can see this is the proposed research model by the researchers. So they have written service quality leads to the customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction leads to the repurchase intention. It leads to the positive recommendation. It leads to the willingness to pay. And there are certain moderating variables, which are switching cost, attractiveness of alternatives, and the social ties, right? Now you can see I'm going down for you for the research, for the literature review. You can see first particular point says service quality and customer satisfaction. So here what researcher did, they tried to find out the research papers which are talking on the only service quality and the customer satisfaction, right? That way you can see these are the various things which were mentioned by the researchers, and using that means when you will study this particular para, you will find somewhere they have found certain positive relationship or something in these two variables. So they, that way the researcher has made their hypothesis like service quality has a positive effect to the customer satisfaction, right? Further, customer satisfaction and repurchase intention. So again, some of the studies which are talking about these two variables, using that the researchers has proposed the hypothesis customer satisfaction has a positive effect to the repurchase intention. Then customer satisfaction and the positive recommendation. So literature basis, on the basis of this, you can see customer satisfaction has a positive effect to the positive recommendation. Further, customer satisfaction and willingness to pay more. On the basis of this, you can formulate your hypothesis. Customer satisfaction has a positive effect to the willingness to pay more. Now we are talking about the moderating variables, which is the switching barriers. So here you can see on the basis of this literature review, the researcher has formulated a hypothesis like the relationship between customer satisfaction and repurchase intention will be stronger for customers who perceive a higher level of switching cost than for customers who perceive the lower level of switching cost. Means it is very difficult to switch from one product or one brand to the other brand. As you can see, this particular study is about the satellite TV, right? So if you are using satellite TV, if you are paying for it, so from switching from that particular thing to some other particular thing, so the switching cost will be very high. So you can see the hypothesis says the relationship between customer satisfaction and repurchase intention will be stronger for customers who perceive a higher level of switching cost. Means the customers who are thinking if I will switch from this particular thing to some other thing which is giving me some other benefits, if they're thinking like this thing, so that way for them this relationship is very strong, right? That means they don't want to go for the higher switching cost, and that way they will compromise with the whatever they are using presently. That means they will buy it again and again. They will go for the using the same thing again and again. That way, this is the first hypothesis for the moderating barriers. Second, you can see which is talking about the next. I think I forgot the name. I think it was the positive recommendation. You can see this says the relationship between the customer satisfaction and the positive recommendation will be weaker
for the customers who perceive higher level of switching cost. Means if I'm perceiving, if I will switch from this brand to some other brand, and if I need to bear the higher cost in switching from this brand to the other brand, I will say the negative word for the present services which I'm using. This is the meaning of this hypothesis, right? Next is the relationship between customer satisfaction and willingness to pay more will be weaker. Means this will be again, this relationship will be weaker if I'm feeling like this, or if I'm perceiving that the switching cost will be higher for me, right? So this way, this is the one thing, and I think this is the second last hypothesis, the sixth one. The relationship between the customer satisfaction and the repurchase intention will be stronger for the customers who perceive lower level of attractiveness of alternatives. Means if there are not much better alternatives available in the market, so it is quite obvious that this is stronger, this relationship will be very stronger for my present brand, right? Then the relationship between customer satisfaction and repurchase intention will be stronger for the customers who perceive stronger social ties than the customers who perceive weaker social ties. So means for other brand, if there is not stronger stronger social ties available, in that case, I will perceive, or I will find that this particular relationship will be very stronger. Yeah, the last one says the relationship between the customer satisfaction and the positive recommendation will be stronger for the customers who perceive that the stronger social size than the customers who perceive. I think this is a repetition. I think no, this is not a repetition. It is in terms of positive recommendation. So friends, you can see using literature, because I will say literature review is very stronger part of any research study. It will help you to write your introduction. It will help you to write the literature review. It will help you to write your objectives, your research questions, your hypothesis, and further the discussion part of your study. So that way, I think the role of literature review is very crucial in writing any research paper. So I think, may I take a last paper now?
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but what are moderating variables? Are there moderating variables for every model in every research? Or is this very specific to the topic and the exact study you're doing? And is the analysis and data collection process one the same for main variables and moderate variables, or the data is collected separately, the analysis is separate analysis, or something like that?
Moderating variable means, all. If I say, ma'am, usually it is present everywhere. In every research or in every hypothesis, it is presented. Depending upon the researcher, whether they are considering them or not. Mediating and moderating variables are available. Moderating variables mean which are, what I can say, which are moderating the relationship of the dependent and independent variables, which are making the relationship stronger or weaker. The way you have seen, which we have seen in the hypothesis, right? So maybe two things are related, but maybe third thing is impacting, moderating that relationship. Third variable is impacting the relationship. That is known as the moderating variable, right? Mediating.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Then mediating variable meaning is that through that, means suppose there are three things available, A, B, and C. So if I want to see the relationship, so means there is quite possible there can be a direct relationship between A and B, or maybe there is a relationship possible which is via C to B. So when there is a via type of relationship, that is a mediating relationship.
Okay.
Right? Now talking about the data collection, totally depending upon the researcher, which type means first you need to decide upon your research title. After that, you need to formulate your objectives and hypothesis, because these are the important things. Only that way you will decide further, or you will go further for the questionnaire design, right? So you need to see whether your research title is talking about this thing, whether you're considering mediating variable and moderating variable in your study or not. If you are not considering, so in that case, you do not need to be bothered about. But if you are considering these variables in your study, in that case, you need to collect the data for the same with the same questionnaire. Right?
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Got it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So, last paper, I think 2-3 minutes, I will wind up this. This paper says impact of brand image, service quality, and the trust on customer loyalty, moderating effect of perceived price fairness, and mediating effect of the customer satisfaction, right? So you can see there is a moderating variable as perceived price fairness, and the mediating variable is as taken as customer satisfaction, right? So coming down directly to your research questions, you can see, I think research questions will give you clear clue about your moderating and mediating variables. You can see, first thing says, does service quality have impact on customer loyalty? I need to check any model they have prepared. Yeah, model, I think model will help you out to understand this thing. You can see, here you can find service quality, brand image, trust. These are the three independent variables you have taken. Then the main dependent variable is your customer loyalty. This customer satisfaction can be your the moderating, this is your mediating variable, and then perceived price is your moderating variable. Now you can see service quality has a positive impact on customer loyalty. So directly this can be linked with your customer loyalty. This is the one relationship. Second, brand image has a positive impact on the customer loyalty. Second, trust has the positive impact on the customer loyalty. This is the main effect you have seen, right? Now, perceived price fairness, which one is this? Moderates the relationship between service quality and the customer satisfaction, right? Second, next is perceived price fairness moderates the relationship between the brand image and the customer satisfaction. Then perceived price fairness moderates the relationship between the trust and the customer satisfaction. So that means this is the moderating variable. Means whatever price fairness a customer is feeling, that is playing out, that is impacting the relationship between these two variables, right? Then further, customer satisfaction mediates. So this is playing the role of mediator, right? So customer satisfaction mediates the relationship between the service quality and the customer loyalty. Similarly, you can find for the remaining two, that is brand image and trust. So that way you can formulate your hypothesis. So friends, I think I will conclude my session here by saying this thing: whenever we are writing the research paper, we need to have a very good idea firstly about your title. You need to be very familiar with the title which you have taken. You need to thorough your title, what type of variables available, how you can measure them. This type of clarity we need to have. You need to do a intensive literature review for the same. Then further, you need to write down your objectives and hypothesis. And as I said, most of these studies, generally what we do for time's sake, or maybe for various reasons, maybe sometimes we do, we are making a simple questionnaire. We are floating it around or in our surroundings. We are collecting the data. Same simple hypothesis we are creating, and we are analyzing them through a very good research, a very good literature review. If you're doing that, you need to spend a lot of time for that. You need to spend that time, but that way you would be in a position to create your conceptual framework. Once your conceptual framework will be clear to you, you would be able to identify your variables very clearly. You would be able to understand how you can measure them, the previous researches for the variables you are considering. And that way you can formulate your hypothesis, you can create your questionnaire, or you can develop your own questionnaire. So I think at the last moment, again, I will say, for doing a good research paper writing, you need to do a better or a good literature review, right? So I think now platform is open for the question and answer. Any questions?
Yes, Pati.
Ma'am, is it necessary that we have to put both null and alternative hypothesis, or just in null hypothesis is enough?
Usually, null hypothesis means in some papers papers when you can find they are only writing the alternative hypothesis also. But I will suggest you, in whatever journal you are submitting your paper, you need to check which type of format is followed by the previous authors in that particular journal. Accordingly, you can take a decision.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay, so I think Neha have no more questions. I hope. I'm not getting any questions. So over to you, Neha, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So, as we draw today's session to a close, I want to express my sincere appreciation to every participant. A heartfelt acknowledgement is extended to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Chanchala Jain, ma'am. Her explanations on every topic whenever she graces our program are commendable and extremely knowledgeable. Thank you, ma'am, for giving your invaluable time and sharing your insights. Additionally, I extend a vote with profound gratitude for everyone's participation. We officially conclude today's session. Your contributions have been immensely valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Neha, ma'am. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, RFI team, Ajay sir, Saurabh sir especially, for giving me one more opportunity to interact with the party. For one more session on Excel on 8.
Yes, ma'am,
Right
on
now,
8th.
Thank you. So I think, Neha, ma'am, we can wind up, right?
Yes, ma'am.